Hi everyone, it's Cindy. Welcome back to Studioloo. I am here with the first junk journal round robin of November. I am hosting this with Chell from ChellesCreativeChaos and Mary Ellen of RedParrot. So you can find all the details down below. But I'm ready to jump into the packages. So from Mary Ellen, I have this lovely wrapped little thing, and it is in this lovely tissue paper. And we have these 4 chipboard tags. These are really cool. They're nice and thick, and they just really want some kind of mixed media, I think. We'll set the paper aside. We may use it. Shell sent me this little white envelope with 3 paint samples inside in these beautiful peachy pinky colors. So that is exciting. I think everyone went easy on me for today. Nothing weird for day 1, which is good because, as you can probably tell, I am sped up today and I'm in voiceover mode because my GoPro decided to be a little bit weird and not record sound as it sometimes does. So this will not be typical for this, but as you know, these are one-off videos. They cannot be remade because we are here with these supplies that have been sent to me. So I am doing a little planning here. I think we're going to have the paint samples on 3 tags and then an odd one out to just kind of do something different with this one. So I'm going to cover it with glue stick here. I don't want to use a wet media. I want to just use glue stick to lay down some of this pretty napkin in the background. And then I'll just go around and trim it with my scissors. So yeah, it was totally unanticipated that I'd be doing this voiceover today, and hopefully I didn't go too fast here for you guys. I think it will be okay because there's, like, you know, fussy cutting and things like that that I don't really have issue in speeding up, but I won't typically be speeding up my videos. So we'll pop a hole through the tag again so we don't lose our little hole there. And I've grabbed a couple of books, which is what I plan to use for focal points this go around, I think. So I've got this Victorian garden book, and I've got also a large bird book. I've also grabbed some paint, so I want to do some mark making with paint in 3 different colors on these tags. I have this fun chalky tempera pinky purple shaded paint, and it's just really simple marks that I'm making. I love this very basic mark making. It's some of my favorite that I see in the work of a lot of different, like, mixed media artists, often in black. I really just love how it adds, like, the touch of the hand to whatever, you know, collaging is being done. And I'll just rub the excess paint off on this book page, and we'll end up with something pretty from that, I'm sure. So then we move on to the blue, and this is one of my favorite paints that I find it thrifting. I don't know if it's still made or not. It's a Delta Ceramcoat paint, and it's very opaque, and this is my favorite color of it. I know one place that I can get it from. I probably should restock it soon. So I will just, again, smush off that paint. Just ignore my camera beeping there. And then we'll do the same with yellow, also in the Ceramcoat. I just washed my brush though, so there's a little water in there, so it's not as opaque, but it's still fine. I'm definitely painting my fingers somehow, even though I'm doing very little painting. Oh, that's so pretty, all those colors. It's reminding me of the Aurora Borealis. I love that everyone in, at least in Canada and the US, are seeing a lot of the Aurora Borealis. I think also in places like Norway and the typical places that always see it. But we've been getting a real treat out here with getting to finally see the Northern Lights. It's something that I think a lot of us have wanted to see for a long time, but it's not really that possible, at least in Ontario where I am, unless you go way up north. But yeah, we've gotten some beautiful light shows in October. think it was the middle of October, we got to see lots and lots of northern lights. So I'm just going to trim these paint samples down a bit, but I am going to keep the strip that I remove because we'll do something with that. And I'm doing this to just kind of be able to put it down on the tag and move it into like an asymmetrical position and not just have it block out the center of the tag and be so blocky. So I'm just coming back to this one. It's had a little time to dry. And I'm just going to smush it down on there, see if I can pick up some color, because something's beckoning me to put color on this. And it's this blue. I love this blue with florals. I often think about like that French country feel where you dry brush and kind of use chalky paint, and you can decoupage with it on furniture, and it's just really nice. So I've washed and dried my brush, and I'm coming in with the brush and my finger, and I'm cross hatching the paint and just kind of rubbing it into the different nooks and crannies that have happened because there's napkin on there. It's got that like French country furniture feel to it now. So I'll bring it up, show you the cracks there. And I really like how it looks already. And I'm already thinking of the challenge I'm going to have to put a focal point on that. So I thought I would try to dry this paint, but then changed my mind and decided smushing it would be more fun. Not caring if I pick up some of the other colors there, and adding, of course, anything that's kind of blobbed on, risen up a bit, we'll add that to that pretty book page. And that'll just increase my drying time because now I've got much flatter paint. So I'm thinking I want to try to tackle this first. Going through this Victorian garden book. It's a really lovely book with lots of botanicals. It has lots of things like trade cards, vintage postcards, lots of veggies and flowers. And I'm just kind of going through going, I like this, but I like that, but I can't find the right thing. I don't want botanicals to get lost on other botanicals. And then I find these yellow framed flowers, and I think I love the yellow with the blue. So I'll flip through, see if there's anything there. The little cabbage woman kind of had me for a minute, but we moved on. And I'm selecting the yellow flowers for this. Cut these out. And then I'm looking at it and it just feels too blocky and also too solid. It just doesn't work, unfortunately. It's not going to work as it is. I think if I maybe like distressed the paper with some coffee, got it wet, added some blue on it, I probably could have made it work. It just felt like too much of like an old and new kind of assemblage. It just didn't work. So I'm going to set it aside for a bit and just kind of work on these tags where I sort of have a better idea of what I want to do. So now I need to find a bird that I think will evoke nicely the pink. So we're going to go with the Eastern Kingbird here, which is like kind of a mauvey, bit of maroon, gray brown, bit of pink. Like they're just an interesting bird that takes basic color to a new level. Like they're just pretty. They have nice tones to them, and this is a lovely illustration. Sometimes it's things that can be so subtle that are just so effective, and I think as these tags unfold, I think you'll see a lot of like how art theory can kind of make something really work. So then I'll just cut the little bit of white in the center there out with my blade. Just make sure your blade is sharp so that you're not dragging your paper. That can often cause issues if you're cutting something like limbs of a bird. Coming around with a little rusty hinge ink to just add a little aging to that image. And then just do some placement. I want to keep the names of the paint samples intact. I'm looking for something. What is it? Oh, my glue. And then I'm just going to ink the sample as well. I have to say, even though right now I'm doing a voiceover a little later, like as I was making this project, I was feeling so mellow and relaxed. Oh, it's so nice to do this challenge again here in November, because there's something really nice about like getting up in the morning and, you know you have something planned already. You get to open a couple of presents, and then you have just like this limited palette that you need to breathe life into. And there's not too much thought process involved at first, and then the project just kind of takes you away, right? You keep kind of playing with the materials you have and thinking of new things. I think it really alights my creativity to like do this kind of work. Especially if you're on YouTube and you're trying to film a daily video. Like I know some people do that. Some people have a schedule. I think there's value in both or either of those things, but I know that daily videos, it can be quite high effort, especially if you have a lot of editing to do. I try to keep my editing relatively light. So now we need to find a bird that can evoke that yellow in the background a bit. When I'm making things like this, I like to think a lot about like connection. How can I bring the foreground and the background? How can they have a little handshake but not interfere with each other? So like you can think of things like, you know, the basic principles of art. Like you can think about color. Do the colors, you know, is there a subtle something in the color that will call to the other color? Or, you know, and that can be not the same color, but contrasting colors, right? You can be opposite on the color wheel. Or think about textures. How does this texture go with the texture below? Do they clash? Do they go well together? Is there too much pattern mixing? Is it too noisy? You know, that kind of thing. Or lined. Do the lines kind of connect and draw the eye across the piece? So for me, what's really important is the main part of the focal point being like the head of a bird. I like to have it with some kind of a solid behind it so that the eye is like really focused on your focal point, because that's the point of it being a focal point. I don't want it to get lost on a busy background or like a bumpy texture. If you put thinner paper on top of a bumpy texture, it can distort your image. So that I like. It's like enough yellow that they kind of speak to each other. It makes sense for the project, but it's not like too yellow. And now the blue. Again, I'm checking these flowers desperately. Nope, they won't work. So we'll ink up that paint sample as well. And we need to find a bird. So I do apologize. I know we're not flipping through this bird book together. I'm a little zoomed in. I wanted you to see the detail on the project, but I'll fix my placement on this over the next video. This is the warm-up for this series, so everything has to go as not planned. That's a beautiful bird, but not the right size. This book is really cool, actually. You'll see there's like a number above the birds and like some sound waves. So it actually had a sound panel on the side, on the right side, and you would type in the number like 107 and you would get the bird call of that type of bird. I've only ever found these books before when thrifting, and one had the sound panel removed, and the other one, the little coin battery inside of it had like gotten wet or something and had leaked inside, so it ruined the sound panel. So I just removed the covers of both of them and got rid of that. So we're going to go with the tufted titmouse on this. But as I was saying, I'd like to find one intact if I can and play with the sound panel, and maybe even look at making a journal with a sound panel. It would be kind of cool. Like a bird book with a bird sound panel. I love the little tufted titmouse. They're the cutest little birds. So they're an Ontario backyard bird for sure. And they're also actually really across North America. And I think they're also in parts of Europe, if I recall. And I'm just going to ink around the edges again to give it a little age. But they're beautiful little kind of gray-blue, slate gray kind of birds with a little peachy underbelly, which is nice for this project because we're using these peachy samples. I always think that they look like a more gentle version of the cardinal. They don't look so, I don't know, strong. Like I can tell how the titmouse came together. They do look very mousy. They have these little glassy black eyes, very cute little faces, and they kind of bop around a little bit like a finch. They're very sweet and docile little birds. So we just need to trim that tail a bit, and we'll glue it up and pop it on there. We don't get the tufted titmouse in my backyard. I think they're a little more northern here, but I hope to see one at some point. We may see one in fall or something in a neighboring town that I go to. I think they probably hang out in this one area that I walk where there's some nice evergreens, really tall pines. I'm just using those little scraps left over of the paint chip as additional collage layer on these pieces. Because I try to avoid, especially when I'm trying to do something with mixed media, working mixed media always makes me think more about personalization with my projects. So I'm not just kind of slapping down a focal point on a background and that's that. Like there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. Like you can, there's many layers or levels to ephemera making. You can cut out an image and maybe you just love it so much you don't want to do anything else to it. You just want to back it and make it a journal card. Totally fine. Then you have something you cut out that's like a nice background, and then you put a focal point on it, and sometimes that's enough. But then other times, like mixed media evokes this in me because I got painting. I'm like, I need to add a few more layers to this to create like, several middle grounds or something. So I'm trying to play with these flowers again. Still not working, but we try. So looking at that label, that would look pretty there. That's from that card from Mary Ellen's package. And then we come back to the odd one out. And then I found those, I wanted to do some stamping on this. I was thinking I'll stamp a birdhouse. Now this is the first time I've used this stamp, and I find the first time I ever use a stamp, it can be a little unpredictable, but I just decided to go with it. I don't even test it out. I'm like, let's just do this. So I do. And I do get an impression. It's not like as dark as, it could be, but I like it. It's doing what I wanted it to do, which was to add something, to add a structure or a theme to the tag. But I now know that it looks even more incomplete. So we need a bird for this. And I'm turning to birds today. For those of you who are Portlandia fans, this is my put a bird on it moment. So yeah, it's a put a bird on it day. Birds are always beautiful to work with, though, I think, in collage. It's just some things that I think some people like, different kinds of things. Some people like butterflies, some people like fairies. Birds are my thing. I really like birds. And moths, too. I quite like moths. So I finally found a bird that I think will work here, and it's the red-eyed vireo. Again, it's a bird that does a lot with a simple palette of colors in its feathers. It's like grays and browns with a bit of mauve and some touches of gold, and I think that will go really nicely on here. So I'm going to first back it onto some folder because I want it to be a little thicker, because it needs to kind of pop a little bit up from the background, which is like a little complex, right? So I ink around it with some of the Rusty Hinge. Then we're just going to cut it out as we have the other birds. And I think I want it to go toward the bottom here. Just checking to make sure that the napkin's down. Although I don't like the white on there at all. It's like, nope, that outline really does not work. So we need to clean this up and truly fussy cut this out with no outline. Bird fussy cutting is like so detailed. I remember when I was pregnant and on bed rest with my daughter, I cut out an entire Audubon bird book. There we go. Love how that looks. So I'll glue that down. And my reason for cutting out the whole bird book was I wanted to decorate my daughter's nursery with birds. So I painted the walls And then I painted birch trees on the walls, and for the kind of the gray, you know, lines that are in birch trees, like it's that peely paper, I used book page. And this was before I did any journaling or anything. I guess I was drawn to paper even then. So yeah, I decoupaged all the birds on, and my son now sleeps in that room and he loves it. He loves birds, so it's good. So these black and white labels are from one of my Journal Together kits, and I decided I wanted to put a little black outlined collage bit on here. I'm still building on my collaging here, wanting more layers, wanting to kind of make some connections with line to complete these pieces. And I know I'm not fully in camera right now. I will be, though, soon. You'll see the final pieces definitely, and me continue to work on them. I will perfect my setup here. I'm just getting started. It's just a weird first video doing all of this differently, but that's okay. So then I decide, like, I would like to put those remaining pieces that I have left over with the paint numbers on this tag, because it'll bring the little collection together. So I'm going to glue them down with different lengths to, again, cause more asymmetry. We're not going to fully cover that birdhouse. It's there. You can still see it. And I love how it's there because it's really created like depth in the piece, and you'll see as I bring more black into the piece and more line that it's just going to connect really well at the end. So now we've got that layer on. Go with that black label again, and you can probably already see the black picking up the lines in the head and the wings in the bird. So those blacks are connecting a little bit now, and it's bringing your eye down. You're kind of scrolling over that birdhouse. And now I've got this knit here. I'm starting to debate what I want to tie through the holes, but that will fall apart. That's not the kind of thing you can have as a tie. So I've come across this black ribbon, and I think it will be quite perfect for this. So we'll just slip knot through and then do a couple of ties. And again, the black, it's going to be effective with the rest of the black. So cut out the next 3 lengths for the other 3 tags. And I do apologize for the glare on the left side there. Light balance is a job. So we get these all tied up now. Okay. So now we're back to kind of being a little collection, even though one is different. And I like how these look. They're very cute. So they're all in focus now. You can see the labels, the black all working together. And then I think I'll show you some of the detail up a little close here. So you can just kind of take a look. And then I want to also go around the edge of these with some black. And I forget to do the very top corner here. Please don't kick my butt. I'll do it after. I don't know how I did that. So yeah, I just want to go around the edges because you see how it just really frames it in now. Like it feels like a mixed media art piece. Once you add that on there, it kind of just, I don't know, it adds something. So that is my project for today, this first project, this weird video that's been done in a totally different way. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check the description box below and check out my friends who I am hosting this with, as well as anyone else that's participating. Let me know and I will link you down below. But this is day 1 of many, so I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.